Hey, welcome to episode 145 of Awkwardly Awesome Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Freeman, and I'm excited to bring just an amazing person on today. And I just know the tiny tip of the iceberg on her story. So I'm excited to learn more of her amazing story along with you. So I'll be back to nope, introduce her in a second. But first, this.
Today's guest, Erin Ley.
Hey, welcome back to Awkwardly Awesome Podcast. Today, my guest is Erin Ley, known as the Miracle Maker. Erin was a cancer thriver at age 25, a single mom of three at age 47, and became a successful entrepreneur at age 50. She has shown thousands upon thousands across the globe how to be victorious by being focused, fearless, and excited about the life in the future. Anne is also the author of several books, including the popular #1 bestseller, WORKLUV, a love story. Please help me welcome Erin Ley. Yay! Erin Ley. Yay!
Hey, Jason. Great to be here.
Thanks for coming. Where are you? Not calling in, but not phoning in. But
Zooming in.
Just say, where are you today?
StreamYarding in.
StreamYarding
in. Zooming in and StreamYarding. I'm here on Long Island, New York. Long Island, New York. And it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you, my friend. You are extraordinary. You have an amazing story.
Thanks, my friend. I think a lot of humans have been blessed with amazing stories, but getting them out sometimes takes some doing.
Yeah, and you're doing it.
Yeah, you are too. Thank you. So shall we jump right in?
Sure.
So you have various times in your life getting the news that you had cancer in your 20s, going through a divorce, when you did the certain times in your life when you could have gone in a complete other direction and be doing completely different things now. What helped you stay on the amazing course you're on?
I have to say, Jason, thank you so much for bringing this up. With the cancer, because that was my first experience with like a really traumatic kind of a thing.
How old were you when you were diagnosed?
25.
Oh,
25. It was
25. I didn't know.
Yeah, outside of typical childhood stuff, it was my first introduction to something life-threatening like that. And in 1991, very few people lived of non-Hodgkin's lymphoblastic lymphoma. It was a very rare pediatric kind of a disease. And it was a 2.5-year crazy protocol. They basically threw the kitchen sink at you. The doses I was getting at Sloan Kettering here in Manhattan were beyond the local cancer hospital's legal limits. It was just an egregious 2.5 years. But what it did, in hindsight, it's a blessing, because we can never connect the dots moving forward. We connect the dots backward. And it was a blessing, like it was crazy at first. And I was shocked and devastated by the news, but it introduced me to me again. It gave me the time and it gave me the space for me to become fully aligned with who I truly am. Once again, I was so off purpose. I was working on Wall Street and cortisol is flying, and I was business lunches and fully licensed, and but it was not me. I was not aligned with that kind of work. And then so when I ended up getting sick, I started reading all of these personal development books. And the one thing that really got me through the initial diagnosis was my faith. The one thing that my parents instilled in me, since I was born, was to have a really strong faith in God, have a really strong faith in yourself, and what you can do, have confidence in your competence, right? And so I really believe it was God and I working through the cancer together, because doctors would tell me I was going to die, and again, I read so many personal development books, Jason, that it just, my whole world opens up in the most amazing ways.
This is going to be like a great hour, because you're already, for when you're through a nugget, just you simply said we cannot connect the dots moving forward. We can only connect the dots looking back. And how often do we want to know the future for ourselves and family and friends? And
right, everybody wants to know what's going to happen next week, what's going to happen tomorrow, like what's the crystal ball say, right, for the future. And so many people are wasting time doing that, and I want everybody to hear me around the world. There's no time like the present moment. Like if you're not in the present moment and you're not focused on making the present moment the very best it could be, without thinking about what's going to happen, tomorrow, next week, next month, 6 months, 6 years from now. It's good to have goals. Like it's super important to have goals, but you don't have to worry about the how they're going to happen. You just have to have faith that they're going to happen, that you're going to achieve your goals. As long as you know where you are and you know where you want to go, where you want to be. I knew I wanted to live. I knew I wanted to have children. They told me I'd never have kids, and there were times they literally came in crying, telling me I was going to die in 1991. And I was like, you didn't tell me about the inner world. You didn't tell me about meditation and visualization and affirmations and what we could do for ourselves, and there's so much that we can do. So when we're in the present moment, if we're focused on the chaos and the confusion, we're just going to have more of that. We're going to experience more of that. But if you're in the present moment and you're focused on the solution and you're focused on what's right with your life and what's right with the world, so many great things happen. Like I said, I kept living. Every time they said I die, I went on to have 3 kids that they swore would never happen. And that's why they call me the miracle maker. And the doctors started having their patients call me at home in the 90s. And that's how I started coaching. So for the last 30 years, I'm 57. For the last 30 years, I've been coaching and I love it.
Well, you give me so much more with everything you say. So at first, were you coaching other cancer patients?
Yeah. The doctors literally started having their patients call me at home because they could not explain what I was doing. They didn't know about meditation and visualization, or they weren't talking about it in 1991 to 93. Very few people in the medical community were talking about this. It was just all pharmaceutical. So they couldn't explain it. And they literally started having their patients call me at home. And I was on the phone with cancer patients, and I did it for free for years, and I actually called the doctors at one point because I went on to have 3 miracle kids that they swore would never happen. I said, I can't keep doing this. I feel like I'm neglecting my kids. I'm putting them in front of Blue's Clues with like Cheerios, and they're spilling Cheerios on the floor. And they were like, you can't stop. You're an amazing life coach. And I said, what's a life coach? It was like before, like it was the early 90s, and they explained to me what a life coach was. And I was like, I could do this, like for a living. I could like, this is a thing. I'm like, because I loved it. I loved it. It was like breathing for me. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Bob Daniels is two of my favorite people.
I love you, Bob. He's so
I,
good.
yeah, I love you too, Bob. We love you.
And Eric Swanson introduced me to you guys, introduced me to you, Jason, and to Bob. Eric Swanson. Yep.
Speaking of people we love and have done great things in our lives, Eric Swanson.
He's extraordinary.
Definitely.
Yeah. He's an extraordinary man. Without a doubt. He's become one of my best friends, like a brother. Yeah.
And my friend Dale Horton said this is I assume flames mean great
Fire.
things.
This is fire. Hey, Daryl. Hey. That's awesome.
So a few minutes ago, of all the things you could have said about being diagnosed with a rare, life-threatening type of cancer, you said the diagnosis reintroduced me to myself.
Biggest
Of
blessing.
all the things in the world you could have said, you said that reintroduced me to myself.
Yeah. And it's important really to what we focus on, what we speak about, what we think about, what we speak about, the actions we take. I could stay focused on all the horrible treatments, on the chemotherapy, the radiation, the surgeries. I could speak about that and stay focused on that. And it was a real thing. But I found that there was so much more power in the lessons that I learned regarding law of attraction, the law of vibration, the law of reciprocity, like spiritual universal law that most people were not talking about back then. That was a game changer for me. So I like staying focused on what we can do for ourselves as opposed to the victim mentality, like that victim kind of disempowering mentality. Yeah. So go ahead.
So was self-help, did your interest in this start at all before the diagnosis, or?
It's funny, Jason, my intuition has always been really strong, very, very strong, to the point where my parents actually said, because I used to tell my parents certain things, like when I was a little girl growing up. And when I was 14, my parents were like, you know what? You should speak to Monsignor McCullough. He was like the uncle in the family who's a priest, right? Because I used to just say things. And at the time, I was just not by Monsignor McCullough, but by a lot of different people told, like, don't go there. Like my intuition was so powerful, was so strong, but I was told like don't go there. You know what I mean? And so I kind of squashed that gift, and I didn't understand. So when I would think very deeply, and I knew that there was an internal world going on, also not just the outer world, but nobody was really talking about the inner world. And I didn't read the books. I wasn't reading the books. I didn't know about personal development. I didn't know anything about that. I just knew that there was more within me than just what I learned in 5th grade science, which was what I convinced myself that that's all there was: the blood flow, the skeletal system, the organs. That was all that was within me. I had to convince myself that what I understood naturally, I convinced myself that did not exist. So I was trained to be outer world based. Again, not by my parents or Monsignor McCullough per se, society in general, school, everything taught me to be outer world based. So I bought my Chanel bag, and I had the house out in the Hamptons, and I loved my shoes, and I became very superficial. And that's why I'm saying it wasn't me. I'm not do I like nice things? I love nice things, but I'm not a superficial person, And so when I ended up with cancer, it was almost God's reminder of go deep, Erin, go deep and don't listen to anybody and be fearless. I became fearless at 25. It takes a lot to rock my world, and when it gets rocked, I get thrown back. I'm a human being, like on my heels, but then I bounce back, and It's amazing when you can roam this planet fully as you. And for everybody listening, everybody can tap into this. And everybody deserves this. Everybody deserves to roam this planet fully as you. I always say, as long as you're following the golden rule, as long as you're doing the right thing, you're showing up as the best version of you, and you're looking to make this world a better place, and you allow everybody else to show up as the best version of them, life gets to be fun. Life is so cool, Jason.
It really is. It really is. So in that moment of crisis when you had the diagnosis, what I mean, you had intuition in the past, but what led you to begin exploring self-help and meditation and visualization?
Divine intervention. Divine intervention. When I was lying in Sloan Kettering in the hospital bed with no hair, with IVs all over the place, a Metaport in my chest, and a Ommaya reservoir in my brain because they treated the brain prophylactically, because it could have spread to the brain. I mean, I was I was all over the map emotionally with what was going on with me. And it was rapid. The first 6 months, they call it the induction phase. And this was when they just bombard you with all this stuff. And then the last 2 years was just like regular chemo and radiation. But the first 6 months was just, it was crazy. But I remember reading the books, Full Catastrophe Living by Jon Kabat-Zinn. I have it somewhere. And that introduced me to mindfulness meditation in the back.
What led you to Full Catastrophe Living?
A friend of mine recommended that I read it. This woman that I knew recommended that I read Full Catastrophe Living by Jon Kabat-Zinn. It deals with every stressor in life you could imagine. Environmental stress, family stress, financial stress, any stress that you can think of. And in the back of the book, Jon Kabat-Zinn has an amazing voice. I love that man's voice. It was mindfulness meditation. I never quieted my mind for 30 seconds, no less 30 minutes. So I learned about meditation and visualizing the white light and cleansing the body, and just where the cancer was. It was around the base of the mediastinum, the base of the breastbone. It was lymphoblastic lymphoma. It wasn't breast cancer, but it was a non-Hodgkin's kind of lymphoma. But I just remember just the healthy organs, the healthy lungs, the healthy heart, and all that kind of stuff. And he had just an amazing, soothing voice. And I read a book, Creative Visualization by Shaki Gawain. So now I married meditation with visualization, and it was like my whole world opened up. It was almost like my mind exploded into these amazing things that I never knew existed, but I knew existed. Does that make sense? Like you kind of know instinctively from birth, we come in with these gifts. And then before you know it, within the first 8 years of your life, you're told no, that's not a thing. No, that's not a thing. No, don't do that. Law of attraction is not a thing. Yeah, it is. Like attracts like. Like attracts life. You will not find me gossiping. You won't find me judging. You know what I mean? Because low vibe attracts low vibe. Commiserating. That's very low vibe. And you have to do the personal development work to raise your vibe. I actually have, I don't know if you can see that cylinder looking thing behind me. It's like different colors, but it looks like a funnel kind of a thing. And at the bottom, it talks about grief and shame and guilt. And that's very low vibe. And next to it, it says suffering. You're living in suffering. If you're living in that kind of a habitual mindset, if your main focus, the thing that you think about and speak about and act about is shame and guilt and remorse and regret. It's very low vibe. That's suffering. You have to work your way up, and the next phase is just getting by, and we're not here to live a mediocre life. We're not here to just get by. We're here to live an abundant life and like your most joyful life. And look at your beautiful smile. You have an amazing smile, Jason. And why don't you share with everybody what you've been through? You have an amazing story.
Of course, and viewers know my story. This podcast, not that I don't love telling my story, but but we have so much from your life and your wisdom to cover in the next 40 minutes.
Okay.
So thanks for the invitation though. But so before the show you were mentioning about mindset, and the basic teachings are pretty clear and make sense, but when someone is in a mindset of victimhood and anger, and everything is triggering them and everything seems negative, it's like it can be an experience of swimming in an ocean of that, and it can be that can seem like nothing beyond that. How does one start looking beyond?
When you start realizing that you want to live your best life, and it's a choice. We have a decision all day, every day that we can make in life. And I'm talking about even when we're thrown back on our heels, experience the emotions that you're going through, but don't stay stuck there. And don't allow others to validate you being stuck there and staying stuck there, because otherwise you will. And you don't want to go through life with that victim mentality when you have a choice. And you can make decisions from a place of confidence, a place of abundance, a place of where you want to go in life. You have goals that you want to hit, and everybody has to have a crystal clear vision. I'm huge on this. My whole brand is life on track, personally and professionally, right, Jason? I've had you on my show, personally and professionally. And, you have a choice every day. Are you going to make decisions from a place of fear, that fear, lack, and scarcity, or just any kind of a negative mindset, anything negative? Regret, remorse, anger, depression, anxiety. It's all a real thing, but it's a choice. You can either stay there or work your way over through gratitude. That's the bridge between fear and love. Gratitude, appreciation, find things to be grateful for, even the cool side of the pillow in the summer, to abundance, a love. Anything under the category of love is everything positive. Enthusiasm, optimism, faith. It's all under the category of love. But it's a choice that people have. Mindset is a choice that people have all day, every day, under any circumstances. Even when I went through the divorce, shocked, thrown back on my heels, and most people watching me and following me on Facebook, they watched, me go through the whole thing, because we've been on Facebook since 2009, right? And this started in 2013. It was over in 2016, but I had to work at getting myself out of that funk, getting myself out of the shock. It was like the cancer all over again. And I remember when I started to attract the people, places, and things that were keeping me stuck in the victim mentality, in the fear, lack, and scarcity, I said to myself, Erin, you have to do what you did with the cancer. And I started meditating within the first 17 seconds of waking up. I wrote out a crystal clear vision of exactly what I want, and burn the boats. Not just interested in getting these things done, committed to getting these things done, showing up. That's 80% of life, is showing up so that I can reach my goals. And we're constantly growing. Fear and everything, they're going to pop up like whack-a-moles, and then you just got to hit it down, because we never grow, Jason, and this, for everybody listening, we will never grow bigger than our self-image. You just won't.
We will never grow bigger than our self-image. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And the most amazing thing, let me just say this really quick. I've been a life coach and business strategist, global leading life coach and business strategist for 30 years, right? Author, speaker, I love my life. I love improving the lives of others. And I was just recently asked to partner with Procter Gallagher, Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher's company, Procter Gallagher. And I absolutely love it. And so in line with everything I've been doing for 30 years, vision and decision, right? Vision and decision. And I'm working with an amazing team, and myself and this woman, Madison Malloy, who I love. We were brought over to help them build out and lead their new corporate division and their whole new division. Oh. So we're training with the people that are there now. And they're huge on this, huge on this. And these people, I'm telling you, I love this company. I love the people that work there. They're huge on telling people, like, you cannot grow bigger than your self-image. And I've been saying this forever. Like, but this is so powerful. Like one of the biggest coaching companies in the world is drilling that home. And imagine what you need to do and what can have once you open up and you grow your self-image, then you can't help but grow as a person, personally and professionally.
So here's so the emotions surrounding divorce must be huge and very distracting and very painful. So can you describe how you experience such powerful emotions without getting stuck in them?
Oh, I was stuck. I was stuck for a little while. I was stuck for a hot minute. I was shocked. Right? And I was with my ex-husband for 22 years. So,
but in general, how do you experience emotions? High emotions without getting stuck in them?
Right. Well, as a human being, your emotions, you have to understand that you don't want your emotions to just, the negative emotions, to dominate your life. But you also have to give yourself the grace to be able to feel all of the emotions. Otherwise, they're suppressed and you're keeping them down. And if you suppress, oppress, like all of these heartbreaking emotions as you're going through it, you're just going to have anxiety attacks. You know what I mean? And again, you're not aligned with who you are, because now you're just swimming in these heartbreaking emotions. So you want to get help, you want to speak to people, and you want to release it, because it's like a valve. You need to release the emotions. You also have to understand, like, as I was going through it, I had to get aligned with who I was all over again now, because I was so used to being the wife, and now I'm single. And I had to get used to, after 22 years being single. I used to say it was like plucking me out of the 1980s and dropping me into the mid 2020s. But it's not the same. But I had to Google a lot of stuff that was being said. But, I knew I had to do the personal development work again. Personal development never stops, you guys. For everybody listening,
Personal development never stops.
Never stops. Never. Till we take our last breath, because life happens. Life always happens. Nobody lives a life where nothing happens. This world is designed to give us obstacles. It's who are we as we're going through the obstacle and how we're overcoming it. And who are we on the other side of the obstacle? Like, I love my life now. I always say I've never been happier, healthier, and wealthier in my life. And it's amazing, but I did the work and I showed up to conferences. I showed up to Eric Swanson's mastermind, and before I joined Eric's mastermind, I was working alone. I was growing my business alone. A lot of people didn't understand what a life coach and business strategist was. And then when you work with a team, life gets to be so much better. You grow so much faster. And I highly, highly encourage people to be a part of a team. Whether it's a coaching team or a mastermind or whatever it is, you always want to be a part of something so you can grow that much faster. And it brings a level of happiness, as you're doing it, as opposed to it being the grind and being so much harder. But it's who are you as you're going through the experience.
Tiffany asks, and we've been talking about this some, but it's a new phrasing. So I want to see if it adds more to what we've been talking about. How do we get unstuck when we are in it?
Tiffany, I would love to answer your question. The key to this is, I want you to get really clear on what you want in life, as opposed to focusing on what's keeping you stuck. That's a paradigm. That's what we talk about at Project Gallagher also, is the paradigm. And when you're super clear on what you want in life, And even if you don't know what that is yet, most people have an idea of what they want, but they've been told by their parents or society, like, no, you don't want that. You want something else. Don't listen to the outer world, and don't look to the outer world for validation for anything. All right, Tiffany. So to get unstuck, I want you to go within. All of your answers are within you. Quiet your mind, do the meditation, write out a crystal clear vision of what you want. And before you know it, in literally in 30 days, you are rewiring your subconscious, because there's so much programming in the subconscious. It takes 66 days to reprogram the subconscious. It's not just 30 days or 21 days to make or break a habit. It's literally 66 days to reprogram the subconscious. So in order to get unstuck, you need to do this work, and don't do it alone. Like, hire a coach. It doesn't have to be me. Join a coaching program, but that's the fastest way to help you get unstuck and stay unstuck, because we help you literally reprogram your subconscious so you develop better habits.
What are your thank you. What are your favorite ways to quiet your mind?
Well, meditation is my absolute favorite.
Well, like what when you say meditation, what do you literally do?
I meditate every morning and I meditate at night. So it depends on what I want to, like, back then when I was working on, I wanted the abundant mindset as opposed to the fear, lack, and scarcity when I was going through the divorce, because I call it like a financial hemorrhage, like when you're going through all of that. And so I would focus on meditations for abundance. And if I was going through a point of where I felt anxiety, whatever, I would meditate on well-being. And it literally would bring me that it would help me get rid of the anxiety and bring me well-being, where my whole body was just relaxed. There's a great meditation called Heal While You Sleep, and it relaxes you head to toe, and it balances your chakras, your energy systems. And it's like a 1-hour meditation before sleeping. There's so many different meditations you can do. One of my favorites is future pacing, because like Neville Goddard always said, when you want something, you don't have to speak about it as if you're waiting for it. Like it's on its way. No, you want to speak about it as if it's done. I mean, if you want your mortgage to paid off, speak about it as if it's done. If you want to be in a great relationship, speak about it as if it's done, because that's how the miracles happen. When with the cancer, I was like, it's gone now. I'm not waiting for this to go away, the 2.5 years. I mean, I'll keep going through whatever I need to go through, but the cancer's gone now. I'm not going to, so that's the way you have to think and speak when you really want something, as if it's done now. And there's great meditations on that. I love future pacing. I love it.
So these are meditations. They're like recorded meditations, right?
Yes. They recorded the guided meditations that you can go to YouTube, put in your search bar, meditation on anything that you want to meditate on, any feeling that you're having that you want to get over, meditations on how to get unstuck. Tiffany, you can go to meditations on how to get unstuck in YouTube in the search bar, and you'll see a plethora of those things. Another thing I love doing to quiet my mind is I love my playlist. I'll get my car and just drive and listen to my music. It just does something for the soul. Like I highly suggest everybody has a playlist. I start my morning with it also. I shower off the energy from yesterday after I meditate and journal and stuff like that. Shower off the energy from yesterday, and then I play my playlist. Like, I'm blowing my hair, I'm just getting dressed, doing my stuff, and I just dance around the bathroom like it's the 80s all over again. But I love my playlist because it quiets my mind. It energizes me. It gives me that really good feeling. And you guys, we are feeling beings. People used to talk about thoughts, being so powerful. And now we're starting to realize the feelings that we have are even more powerful than the thoughts, both super powerful. But when you can, it's like Dr. Joe Dispenza, who I love, he calls it mind-heart coherence, head-heart coherence. When you can get the two of them together, we put out to the universe, and I believe in God. You can call it anything you want, higher power, source, anything that you want. I say God just to keep it simple. And I believe God created everything, the universe, infinite field, all of it. But we put out to the universe what we want based on our thoughts, right? And then we attract back to us the people, places, and things to make those thoughts a reality based on our feelings. Otherwise, we're just sending out thoughts. This is what I want, universe. This is what I want. This is what I want. But if you don't emotionalize that thought, it's like having knowledge, but not putting that knowledge to use. It's useless, right? You understand what I'm saying? So when you put your thoughts out there, make sure you emotionalize it, but be really careful. And I want to make just really, really careful of the thoughts that you do emit, the thoughts that you do put out there. If you're thinking about negative things, self-doubt, dream crusher, you guys, dream crusher. Do not put out waves of self-doubt, because you will attract to you the people, place, and things that will keep you stuck in self-doubt. Self-doubt is the enemy. You know, if you find yourself, if you find it creeping up on you, realize that it will never serve you. You know, just get solution oriented, just start showing up, take some action steps in the direction of your dreams. And this way the self-doubt starts to dissipate.
Say I have the thought that I want to make $1 million more this year than last year. How would I emotionalize that thought?
Okay, and I love talking about money because it's so interesting. Money is energy, right? So let me ask you a question. What would $1 million more this year do for you?
So it would allow me to expand my business, hire more staff, help more people.
Right. So how would that make you feel?
Accomplished, self-confidence.
Right. So that would make you feel good, right?
Yeah.
Make you feel good. So then what can you do? Now, the thing is, what can you do to make $1 million more? Like, you know, and again, we don't have to know the how, you guys. You don't have to know like a lot of people micromanage and like you really like that they're way too deep into the how, but you have to have an idea of the action steps that you want to take and how you're going to grow it. You know, so let's say you're at 100,000. Your next step might be, all right, let's get to 250. And then you go from 250 to 500. Then you go from 500 to 750. And then 750. And then before you know it, you're at $1 million. And what James Dentley said when I was talking to him, and he said, Erin, I had a plan. I was going to make $1 million. And he was telling a friend of his when he was much younger, I'm going to make $1 million. And he said, Erin, you know what my friend said? Why just one? Why just one? And he said, I never allowed myself to think that small again. And I thought that was great. So you can do, be, and have anything that you want. Jason, everybody listening, you can do, be, and have anything that you want as long as you believe it. As long as you believe it. And when you believe you can do it, you'll figure out, you'll get the inspired ideas. They always come. Yeah, I call it the divine download. They always come. And when you quiet your mind and you listen to your higher self, get out of your head, get out of the ego and dip down into your heart, into your soul. You know, it's your higher self that knows exactly where you want to go. The direction that, you know, we're born here with our God-given gifts. We have a journey that we're here to take. And, but when you can quiet the mind and drop into your heart and listen to that voice, you know, as opposed to the voice that says you're not good enough, you're not worthy. Why do you think you can make $1 million? Anybody listening to this podcast? Of course you can. Anybody can do, be, and have anything on the planet, but you have to believe. It's not when I see it, I'll believe it. You have to believe it and then you'll see it. That's how the universe works. That's how this world works.
So those negative thoughts will come up, and what you're saying is like notice them come up and then just keep focusing on the positive. Notice them, focus positive.
Focus on the gratitude. And I'm not talking about toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is denial. You know what I mean? Like when people just like, you have something to deal with, but you go into denial, like, no, everything's good. I'm not going to do anything. You know, that's denial. But when you're in that state, you got to remember that you have a choice. We're here. And again, this is going to sound, you know, we're here either creating heaven on earth right? Or we're creating a living hell for
Mm.
ourselves. And it's based on what we're thinking and what we're speaking. You don't have to wait to pass away to go to heaven, you know, and you don't have to wait to pass away to go to hell, you know, with the devil and the pitchfork. No, you know, heaven and hell are right here. It's right here in between our ears. So what you're thinking about is what you're going to create, right? So let it be good. Like, don't let it be self-doubt. Don't let it be not good enough. Don't let it be like all of these things, beliefs we took on as children that we're living out for a lifetime. Pluck those weeds out of the mind by the root and get rid of them. And I help people overdo this. If people are stuck, I always say, I love helping people go from being stuck, overwhelmed, distracted, like all that negativity and self-doubt, to focused, fearless, and excited about your life. Because life is too short to be stuck in overwhelm or stuck in fear, any kind of fear. Like, life is too short. That's a living hell. You could be in heaven on earth right here. I get up every day, every single day. Like, I love my life. I'm surrounded by the most amazing people these days, Jason, like you. You're an amazing man. And I wake up every day and I'm intentional about it because I keep my vibe high and I work at it. And I will do this every day for the rest of my life. And I wake up every day and I'm like, thank you, God. First of all, for waking up, number one. Thank you, God. And I'm so excited to see the people, place, and things that are going to come into my life today. Like you, Jason, and for all of you that are listening. Like, I get excited about this. I get people booking in my calendar just randomly out of the blue. And I'm like, oh my God, look at that, you know? And I say this: 16 hours of pure potential, 16 hours of endless opportunities in front of me today before I go back to sleep. I literally wake up, I'm like hyped to start the day. I'm so excited to start the day. And I have the most amazing clients, and you know, I love you. I love my clients, you know, and I have the most amazing friends who I love, and family, and like you, Jason. And you're looking to make this world a better place, you know, and like attracts like. And that's why we're here today, because you and I are on a similar mission, and we want people to feel their very best, and you want the best for people. And I appreciate what your show is doing for this world. You're extraordinary.
Thank you. You are too.
Thank you.
So the choice of choosing gratitude, choosing to focus on what we want, on the abundance, and
Focus on what's
and this is you said self-development. This is going to go on for the entire time we're on this planet, right? It's not like we do it today and then we retire from it, huh?
Right. Till we take our last breath, of course. It's all part of what, you know, our journey. It's all part of the human element, the human condition. You know, we have to work at this. This is not just like, you know, you're entitled to just have a great life and you don't have to do anything. And like, no, that's not how it works. You know, you have to work at keeping your life as good as possible. And it's always a choice. You know, I interviewed a guy, you know, Dr. Jeff Fannin. And Dr. Jeff Fannin was Dr. Joe Dispenza's first scientist. He worked with him for like 10 years and helped get Dr. Joe Dispenza on the map. And he said to me one time, he said, Erin, appreciation has an even higher vibe than gratitude. And I said to him, I said, wow, you know, Jeff, I thought that appreciation, being thankful, gratitude, I thought it was all the same thing. And he said, no. He said, gratitude is for something that already happened. Appreciation just is. It's omnipresent. And I got the chills when he said that. And I love that word, omnipresent. It just is. It just is. It's amazing.
Appreciation just is.
Yes. Yeah. So the key to life is just stay focused on what's right with your life. Stay focused on what's right with the world. There's so many things that you could be distracted on that's going on in that outer world, you know, that will really mess up your inner world, your inner peace. And at the end of the day, we want more money. We want better relationships. We want, you know, better anything and everything, because we just want inner peace. That's really at the end of the day what every human being really wants, I believe. So when it's going crazy and the chaos is happening outside in the outer world, it's your job to make sure that you keep your inner peace and you protect it with everything that you've got. And it's not up to anybody else on the planet. And again, everybody hear me when I say this. It's not up to your husband to make you happy. It's not up to your wife to make you happy. It's not up to your friends to make you happy, or your parents or your boss or anybody else. It's up to you. Nobody can make you happy. You have to create it. You have to create it creating your own happiness. The only job that your loved ones has is to add to your happiness. They're not allowed to take away from it. They're just allowed to add to it. And that's a big point that I think most people on the planet are missing. They think it's up to somebody else to make them happy. And that's an excuse for them not being happy and not figuring out. Call somebody like me or Jason to help you figure out how to create your own happiness, because it's not that hard. It's almost like, we talk about The Secret, with Bob Proctor and all the people that were in the movie The Secret. This is like the next best kept secret, how to create your own happiness. I mean, it was in the movie The Secret with law of attraction, but there's so much more than just law of attraction. There's so much more in creating happiness, and it's simple. So simple. It's a shame it's a secret.
Create your own happiness sounds like a great book title. Maybe it is.
Yeah, there you go. You called it first. You called it first, Jason. I'm not doing rock, paper, scissors with that one.
Speaking of books, will you tell us a bit about WORKLUV?
Yes. I love WORKLUV. This is a book that I worked on during the pandemic. And when the pandemic happened, I'm here in New York. If you can't tell, I'm from Long Island. And it was crazy, right? The sky was falling. And I thought, okay, it was very similar to the cancer diagnosis. Like, oh, that again, like a life-threatening thing again. What am I going to do? What's the creative opportunity here? Because I didn't want to cave again. I didn't want to
What's the creative opportunity here? What a powerful question. Right. What's the creative opportunity here?
Right. And, you're smart. I wore the mask. I had the gloves. I was smart, but I wasn't giving into the fear. Fear is the enemy. No matter what's going on, if you give into the fear, it's always conforming to the enemy. And I don't do that. I do the complete opposite. I help people get away from that. I will run. A friend of mine said, one of my God-given gifts is I will run to the chaos to bring calm. You know what I mean? So
when that went to the chaos to bring home.
Yes.
Beautiful.
But WORKLUV was, I figured, okay, how can I bring love into the world? There was so much fear. And I know a little bit of love cancels out a lot of dark, right? So I thought, okay, I'm going to write a book about pouring love into the world. And here in Long Island, in New York, there were people that were literally, they weren't dying from the pandemic. They were killing themselves because they lost their business. They lost their or the financials, and it was awful. So I wrote a book called WORKLUV to bring love into the world, specifically the workplace, to create a culture of love, learn how to talk about team building. It's my first fictional book for adults, where I took my company, I named it Halo Corp, partnered it with Elon Musk. Elon, I would love to get together for lunch. Elon Musk, SpaceX, right? To colonize the best of the best on Mars. And so it's about team building, about allowing everybody to show up as the best version of them, as opposed to trying to be better than somebody else and putting somebody down. Hey, Jenny, as opposed to putting somebody down. You never want to, and it's not command and control. Like in the 80s, command and control was big, and people are still trying to lead that way and always trying to be better than and keep everybody else less than. It never worked. It just, a lot of resentment and turnover in the workplace happens as a result of that. So a true leader, whether you're the CEO of your family or the CEO of your company, you want to lead with love. You want to lift people up as opposed to, holding people back or holding people down. You don't want to control people. You want to help people explore and bring out their God-given gifts and what lights them up. And that's the key to life.
Well, speaking of books, tell me about those books you wrote about Were they for young people? Were
Oh, my character building children's books.
yeah.
I have so many books, Jason, you know. I have, all right. So you saw WORKLUV and my book, The Will to Live for cancer patients that I wrote back in the early 2000s. And it's funny, when I wrote The Will to Live, I really couldn't talk too much about the spirituality because people really weren't as open as they are now about universal law, like law of vibration, law of reciprocity, like law of attraction, of course, like cause and effect and all that. But I get into it a lot more now in my other books. But these books I wrote in the early 2000s for children because I wanted to write character building children's books. So this is Maggie and Mesk's Planet Pumpkin. So the character came before my daughter. My daughter was born in 2001 and the character came before her. So this is a 12-year-old girl who goes into outer space and she deals with a different dominant character trait on each planet. So there's a different planet that I just created, I made up. So she deals with responsibility, honesty and accountability, compassion, self-discipline, generosity, like all these, beautiful character building character traits. And it did really well. So my first holiday book from this Maggie the Magnificent series is Maggie and Mesk's Planet Pumpkin. And that book is about helping people get really good with who they are, accepting their flaws as gifts. The thing that makes us all different is what people call flaws. And it's like, like this show is awkwardly awesome, and this book was about, again, the 12-year-old girl goes into outer space. Now she's having a party at her place on Earth and she invites all of her friends from outer space to her party. But the ones from Planet Pumpkin, it was for Halloween, the ones from Planet Pumpkin were afraid to take off their masks, because they felt like they weren't perfect. There were too many imperfections. So Maggie the Magnificent, the main character in all of these stories, helps them to see that that's what they should embrace the most. It makes them it makes them special. It's our imperfections, our quote unquote quote flaws that make us special. If everybody was the same on this planet, it would be so boring.
It
Right?
would.
Yeah.
It'd be a good time now. I ask everyone, oh my gosh, this question. So to me, doing my imperfect best means I have a vision for my best, and then when I go for it, and mistakes, uncertainties, challenges come up, instead of using those as reasons to stop, I learn from them and give myself empathy and continue towards my best. What does doing your imperfect best mean to you, Erin Ley?
It's acceptance. It's acceptance, forgiveness, because we all make mistakes. We all go through challenges, but it's, if we beat ourselves up, we're not showing up as the best version of us. I know, like, my imperfections. I mean, nobody's perfect. I have 3 kids. I'm not a perfect parent. I'm not a perfect. I love writing books. I'm a contributing author in Eric's Habitude Warrior, The 13 Steps to Riches, and Principles of David and Goliath. And I mean, I have like over 20 #1 best-selling books.
That's amazing.
I'm
Over
not,
20.
but I'm not a perfect author, a perfect writer. Nobody is. They're really good. They're phenomenal. And they're great, but nobody's perfect at anything, And the one thing that God gave us full control over is what we do with the thoughts when they enter our head. So we can think and focus on the imperfections and what's wrong with us and what's wrong with the world, or we could take full control over the one thing that God gave us control over, because we can only control the controllables, right? So the one thing that God gave us control over, and just focus on what's right with our life. Focus on what's right with the world. There's so many amazing things going on in this world that nobody's talking about. Beautiful things that's going on. So I mean, with regard to imperfections, embrace it, acknowledge them, and celebrate them.
And celebrate the imperfection.
Yeah, celebrate who you are. The full package. Celebrate who you are. The good, the bad, the indifferent, everything. Celebrate who you are. I always say in life, it's not win or lose, it's win or learn. And there's a lot of things going on now also, Jason, in the world where, and I feel bad for the kids. We were just talking about the children's books, and I get like the young adults, like, I'm all about female empowerment and empowering females, but not at the expense of males. I don't want to empower females and disempower males at the same
Mm.
time. And I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff going on where there's so much trying to disempower. Like we have to elevate these people and disempower these people. And it's like, why are you doing that? Like you could just elevate these people and like leave these people alone. That's still good and celebrate them as we're elevating, and the ideal thing is elevate together, like let's just elevate the world in general. We're one, we're all connected, we're all one, and there's a lot of people, and talking about imperfections, there's a lot of people, and I want you to hear me when I say this. You don't have to change anything on the outside. The work begins on the inside. The outside will never change. You could change how you look. You could try to change your car. You could try to change your job. You could try to change anything, but it will never work. The work is on the inside. When you change what's going on the inside, what you're thinking about, what you're feeling, when you change that, the outer world has to change. It's law. It's law. It's universal law. People, I mean, there's some people that don't want to believe in spiritual universal law, but let me ask you a question. If a piano falls out of a window, what's going to happen? It's going to hit the ground. Sometimes, no, not sometimes, always, always. It's always the same thing with the law of attraction, but it's always like what you think about and how you're feeling. You have to do the work on the inside for the outer world to change. So don't be so fast to change what you look like or the job that you have or the car that you drive or anything external. That's not the answer. And trust me when I tell you this, and some people might get mad at me, and I'm really okay with that. I'm really, really good with that. Go within and you'll thank me. You'll thank me. Go within, do the work on the inside, which is the most powerful part of you. Change what's going on the inside and the outer world changes. What you all of a sudden, what you see is completely different because your perception has changed and your perspective has changed. And it's beautiful. It's the best thing in the world that everybody can do for themselves is go within and do that inner work, because the outside it becomes so good. It becomes so good.
So what would you tell like a high school senior who's just has gotten an F on a calculus test and is like, how do I celebrate that?
First, like I said, just acknowledge it. Like if he knows he could do better next time, I want people to show up as the best version of them. I'm not one to give people excuses. I think that's weak. To say, oh, like you got an F and, go ahead, get another one. It's okay. That's all you can do. And do your best. If you tried your best and you got an F, because like geometry to me, I kept getting F, 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 but I tried my best until it clicked. And then all of a sudden I got A's. It was an F or an A for me in geometry.
Oh, wow.
It was like an F or an A. Because when I didn't understand it, I just didn't understand it. So I could have beat myself up and been like, oh man, you got an F. What a failure. You're a loser. I can't believe it. But I didn't. I was like, I don't get it. And I went and I asked for tutors, and I asked for extra help. And then when it clicked, and I ended up getting A's. It was the same thing when I was taking the Series 7 with options. I didn't understand options. And then once it clicked, I was tutoring it in the break in between the Series 7 exam with other people. But don't beat yourself up over it. It's not win or lose, it's win or learn. Life is just win or learn, and go through life and just be solution oriented. Worrying will never serve you. Worrying will just give you more things to worry about. That's what worrying does. It will just give you more things to worry about. So stay out of worry. Literally, if I had like a sign to hang up, do not go into worry. Stay solution oriented. That's your answer. If you're like, Erin, well, if I'm worried about something, what am I going to do? I'm worried about it. Get solution oriented. That's the best thing that you can do. And it's just a mindset. It's just a little tweak. Instead of staying like, oh my God, I'm worried about this. And what's going to happen in 6 months from now? I'm worried about this. What if I do? If you're solution oriented and you start, like taking action steps in the direction of what you need to get done, you'll feel accomplished as opposed to worrying. You'll feel like at least I got something done, as opposed to just attracting to you more things to be worried about.
So that senior who got being solution oriented could get a tutor,
right?
Could study in a different manner and
do the best you can, and that's it. Leave the rest to God. Just do the best you can. Don't beat yourself up. If you're doing the best you can and it's not as good as somebody else, or it's not as good as society wants it to be, oh well. You did the best you can. That's all you can do. And you know what? If you got an F in math, you're probably going to get an A in something. Like you're going to be like the best culinary student, or the best architect, or the best, like in the world. But if you stay in that self-doubt because society said you got an F, you failed, it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you try your best and it doesn't work out, just think about what you could have done differently. But if you couldn't have done anything differently and you really tried your best, then that's it. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. When we go through life and we do our best and things are not working, let it go, because resistance will keep you stuck. If you stay resistant on the fact that, like, I failed it and I can't believe I failed it, and if you have to try again, like I had to do with geometry, you try again, and it might work out, it might not, but don't beat yourself up if it doesn't work out and you tried your best. There's so much pressure on adolescents and young adults, to be so much more and so much better than what they are. And this is crazy, the amount of pressure that's on these people, on these kids. It's absolutely crazy. Do your best and be happy and feel the achievement that you did. I'm not saying, like, I do not want kids to make excuses for themselves, because that's a victim mentality, even no matter what's going on. Step outside of the environment if it's a negative environment and find something that you enjoy doing. Find something that you can create for yourself, because the only one that will keep you stuck is you. It doesn't have to be generational. There's so many people that say, well, I'm here because, like, generations of this and there's the cards have been dealt. It doesn't have to be that way. You could be the one to step out and create better habits and create just a different life for yourself and your future children and your grandchildren and everything else. You'd be the one to just change the dynamics. And it's not simple, but it really is that easy. It really is that easy, but it takes belief in yourself. And I really belief in a higher power, because when you have a belief in a higher power, you become so much stronger, because you're part of something bigger than just you, and it's very cool.
Well, we could talk for hours, and so many good things, but the hour unfortunately is already up. So what's the best way for people to contact you when they want more?
I would love for you guys to contact me, because I love making a difference in people's lives. Like I said, I want to help you get unstuck, go from stuck, overwhelmed. This world is overwhelming for so many people these days, and help you become focused and fearless and excited about your life. Okay. And your career. So you can go to erinley.com. That's my website, ERINLEY.com, and that's actually the best way to contact me.
That's right?
Yes, ERINLEY.com. Absolutely. And I have this new, it's like coaching, masterminding, accountability, networking for women that I have now, that I just launched this month, and where I'm doing some coaching. And I love the books, The 13 Steps to Riches, Creative Visualization, The Science of Getting Rich, and The 4 Agreements. So I'm teaching about those and helping people just have a better life and better business and stuff like that. And then there's always my coaching for men and women.
Cool. Thanks for all the amazing work you do, and the powerful energy and goodness you put out into the world. And thanks for being on Awkwardly Awesome podcast, my friend.
I love you. You're so good. Thank you for the work you're doing. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. You're amazing. Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome. Love you. Thanks. Wow. So much goodness within the hour, right? I want to go back and take notes, and just so many good things. Thanks for tuning in. If you're tuning in live or watching on replay, and if you hear something and it inspires you and something clicks, but you don't quite get it, I encourage you to go back. We can do that now with replay. Go back to the one section, the two sections you're confused about, and listen to it again, and listen to it 4 or 5 times if you want. I used to think I needed to get everything on the first time, or I felt bad about myself. I've come to realize, like Anne said, self-development's a lifelong thing. So we can go back to something again and again. Thanks for being you, and tune in next week when I'll have another awesome guest. Until then, timing, Jason, timing. Until then, where is it? Until then, the outro.